Hello and welcome to the War Report with Luke McBride. Today I'm going to be talking about the upcoming fight between Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. Now, a fight of this magnitude, I thought it was worthy of me finally, putting a face to the name. So, trying this for the first time, let's see how it goes. Now, this fight goes without saying really. Anyone that has any sort of following of boxing should know that this is the best fight you can make in the sport, bar none. I mean, you look at the last time that was said really was probably Spence Crawford's. Even then you had at least even going into it, there was the slight caveats that, Spence is a bit inactive and there's the whole issue that he had with his eye. There's a few question marks maybe here and there. Now, it's a bit of a strange one really where Beterbiev's more up there in age really than either of them, but there's still, for the most part, very, very slight question marks. The most anyone can say is, oh, maybe age is going to get to Beterbiev. I think if you look at the way he fought against Callum Smith, it's not really fair to use that as a, any sort of point of reference. It's kind of almost semi-disrespectful to Bivol, just if he is able to get the win, to sort of act like there's more to it than that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not here to say that it's absolute perfect prime Beterbiev, but I don't think he's really shown any signs of slowing down. The other aspect would be the injury, the meniscus injury that Beterbiev suffered that delayed the fight. Maybe call me a conspiracy theorist, but I'm kind of of the opinion that it's not actually a legit injury. There were the same type of thing happened before when Beterbiev was meant to fight Callum Smith, and that was a different thing where they were sort of delaying the fight because of the adverse finding in the drug testing for Beterbiev. But in this case, I honestly, there's a very big part of my brain that just thinks that basically what happened is that obviously it was meant to headline the 5v5 originally, and I think they realised that the 5v5 sells itself. Beterbiev Bivol was completely sidelined really. You think it was only a couple of weeks out before the fight that it got shelved, and no one was really talking about it. The whole build up was about Zhang, Wilder, Warren and Hearn. That was really the bulk of it, and I think the Saudis, all of the organisers just realised that it really benefits them a lot more to just make it two separate events, and I think that's what they've done, to be honest. So, like I say, call me a conspiracy theorist, but that's generally the way I sort of feel about it. Now, in terms of this fight, the main thing I'd say, because it's such a 50-50 fight, I'm completely in two minds myself. I'm not going to try and stay on the fence too much, but I kind of am. In reality, I actually kind of am a little bit on the fence, but I'm gonna put my neck on the line at some point here. But what I will say is the thing that really makes it such a special fight to me is no matter who wins the fight, any potential way that either of them could win the fight would make it basically the best win that any active boxer has on their CV. So in the sense of, let's say Beterbiev wins. Now, Bivol is pretty undeniably the best boxer in the entire sport at not getting hit. So if Beterbiev's able to stop him, obviously incredible achievement. That's would be no easy feat whatsoever. If Beterbiev's able to outpoint him, then that would be even crazier really, considering I'd make the case that Bivol's the best fighter in the sport at winning rounds. I mean, you look at his fights with Canelo, Zerdo and Joe Smith, there's a very strong case to be made that he went 36-0 in those three fights combined. I mean, probably 2 or 3 rounds here and there he might have lost, but by and large, I think Bivol basically won every round in those 3 fights, and they're against I'd have said that Zerdo and Joe Smith Jr. were the 3rd and 4th light heavyweights, and Canelo at the time was the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. And whatever you want to say about the difference in weight between the two of Bivol and Canelo, obviously Canelo coming up in weight for it, fine. But normally that wouldn't necessarily stop you winning rounds. You'd expect Canelo to have a speed advantage and so on and so forth. So it's still very, very impressive to be able to do what Bivol did against Canelo. And then on the flip side, if Bivol's able to beat Beterbiev, where I say Bivol's the best at not being hit, Bivol's the best fighter in the sport at hitting people at the end of the day. And so if Bivol's able to just, see the fight through and outpoint him, then that would mean evading the best puncher in the sport, arguably the best in the sport at cutting off the ring. Again, incredible achievement. And if Bivol's able to stop Beterbiev, that would be even crazier, really, considering, again, Beterbiev might be the most rugged fighter in the sport. So, yeah, whatever happens, absolutely incredible. But yeah, there's really is like any potential possibility with this fight. That's yeah, it's so exciting to like just go into really. Like, you know, there's just literally not even one slight hint of anything being impossible really going into this fight. My thing in general really, in terms of the way I'd sort of lean, is I think that when people talk about the idea of Bivol kind of schooling Beterbiev or like, you know, being able to just avoid him all fight, the thing is with Bivol, for someone that granted doesn't really get hit much, he isn't really a back foot fighter at all. He's someone that likes to stand in the pocket and like, you know, he'll like throw off like the big like combinations and stuff. That's how he actually really wins these rounds. He's always like just perfectly out of range, but he's perfectly out of range realistically against people. Okay, Canelo being significantly smaller, so that's a little bit easier to sort of pull off if you're able to move your feet well, which obviously Bivol is. Zerdo and Joe Smith, neither of them are the quickest guys. Now Beterbiev isn't either, but I think Beterbiev's a lot better at just being able to get more shots in. And also, I think Beterbiev's a severely underrated counterpuncher. If you look at his fight against Callum Smith in particular, obviously most recent fight he's had, granted, Callum Smith's nowhere near the level of jabber that Bivol is, but at the same time, almost every time that Smith threw the jab out, same with Yard as well, Beterbiev was there just immediately to just throw something back. And the thing is that makes Beterbiev so, like, this is where I think the real difference is really, which is going to set him apart from all of Bivol's previous opponents, is you look at people like Zerdo, prime example, Canelo a little bit as well. Canelo likes punching the arms, but aside from that, he's someone that just likes to, like, you know, sort of just throw pretty clean punches like that. He's not someone that's like throwing the sort of unorthodox punches. He's kind of just trying to land the right shots, if that makes sense. Same with most boxers really. The thing that to me sets Beterbiev apart from anyone else is he doesn't care what he's going to hit, like whatsoever. He'll go either through the guard or he'll go like down like that, clubbing shots on the top of the head, and they're the ones that do so much damage. I'm not even really entirely sure if they're allowed, to be honest, but you know, it works for him. It's been working for him all the way up to now. So yeah, like I think that's the thing. Bivol, one of Bivol's main strengths, really, another one of the reasons why he doesn't get hit so much is just he's got such a tight guard like this. The thing is, you can't have your guard like this, can you? So he's going to have his guard like this, and yeah, realistically, Beterbiev is going to land something on the top of the head, and I just think that, like, the reality is, as great as Bivol is at avoiding getting hit, he's going to get hit at some point. And if there's anyone that you don't want to get hit by, it's Beterbiev. The thing is with Beterbiev, when he hits you, he just slows you down so much. I saw it in person with Beterbiev against Yard, and you could see straight away Yard was like, you know, obviously very quick, very athletic. And then just the second he actually really like took a big punch, which is going to happen to anyone. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if, you know, you're like coming in like Pitbull Cruz or if you're coming in like Floyd Mayweather. You're going to get hit at some point. That's the reality of the sport. And when it happens with Beterbiev, you can see it just sinks something out of the fighter. And I don't, you know, Bivol's only human at the end of the day. And like I say, his main strategy is to just stay in the pocket. So, like, basically, there is a, like I say, massive part of me thinks that there's a big chance Bivol's going to just use his feet really well, stay perfectly out of range, and avoid getting hit too badly. But I just think it is significantly more likely that two things are going to happen. One is that Bivol maybe can see out the fight, but he's forced into being on the back foot, and that's not really where he's comfortable in terms of winning rounds. He's not going to be able to get those flurries off. He's not going to be able to, you know, really get any sort of work off at all. And it's going to be Beterbiev constantly on the front foot, marching him down, and just, you know, really getting the better shots off. Like, if that's the way the fight goes, that's what's going to happen. So even if it goes the distance, there's a good chance that Beterbiev could win it on points. He could really, like, you know, severely hurt Bivol, really. We saw when Bivol fought Lyndon Arthur, he got caught with a big body shot, and it seems to have a pretty big toll on him. And Lyndon Arthur's not a big puncher. He's a good body puncher, but he's not a big puncher as a whole. So yeah, like, for all we know, Beterbiev, you know, he attacks the body just as well as anyone. A body shot from Beterbiev, if Bivol's got his guard up here, that's going to do some serious damage. And yeah, I think he's just going to slow him down. I think, yeah, like I say, the two ways the fight's going to play out to me is either Bivol's able to just stay in the pocket. If Bivol's able to do that, stay in the pocket and exchange with Beterbiev and see out the fight and get the better work off and win the fight on points, then we're talking about one of the best wins in the history of the sport, if I'm being honest. The flip side, like I say, if Beterbiev forces Bivol onto the back foot, I don't see how Bivol's going to be able to do enough to outpoint him. Like it's, yeah, I don't see it being possible. I think Beterbiev's. You think of the fight between Shakur Stevenson and De Los Santos, where that's kind of what played out. Beterbiev's infinitely more skilled than De Los Santos in terms of like closing the range, cutting off the ring, and he will be able to get enough off to actually just about outpoint Bivol. So there's that possibility. And then if Bivol stands and trades, you know how that's going to go. And I think there is actually one underrated possibility no one's been talking about, as far as I've seen, which is Beterbiev getting Bivol out of there early, actually. Bivol, for someone that, like I say, I had him winning basically every round in all of those fights. If there is any point where he wasn't winning the rounds, it was at the start of the fight. He's a rhythm fighter at the end of the day. And he's going to take a little bit of time to get going. And yeah, like those first few rounds, maybe Beterbiev will come in with a much more chaotic style than anyone that Bivol's fought before, which that's what I'm expecting him to do anyway, because he is someone that, I'm not saying this even in any sort of disrespectful way, because this sounds like a backhanded compliment, but Beterbiev is a very chaotic fighter. He's not someone that's going to, like, you know, pussyfoot around. He's going to come in and do what he's got to do. Same sort of thing, I'd say, as what Daniel Dubois did to Joshua, as an example. Dubois is a skilled fighter. Like, you know, it's not like a non-skilled way to fight. People have this weird perception that it's like, you know, you have to be doing like almost like a more toned down version of your style means that it's more skilled. I don't really see it that way. It's the same with musicians. When you see like Arctic Monkeys, they start off doing, you know, really heavy sort of music, and then they become more mature by just making slower music. It doesn't work like that to me, you know. There's no shame in being chaotic, you know. So yeah, I think that's what Beterbiev's going to bring first few rounds. I think Beterbiev knows it as well, that Bivol is someone that likes to find his rhythm. Once Bivol gets about 5-6 rounds in, if he's comfortable, then good luck catching him late on in the fight. That's what I'll say. So yeah, there is that possibility as well. I think if it does start to get to like 7th or 8th round, I think Beterbiev's going to really struggle to actually get a hold of Bivol just because of the way he finds that rhythm. But yeah, honestly, first few rounds, do not be surprised if Beterbiev really just comes in, like, you know, storming Normandy and just fucking clarts him in the first few rounds. Yeah, absolutely no question that could happen. But yeah, I would lean, if I had to put my life on it, I think Beterbiev's just going to get him late on, or Beterbiev on points. But yeah, I honestly don't rule it out. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Beterbiev for this fight. I think he just has a bit too much. I think it's just inevitable that he is going to slow Bivol down, and Bivol's entire style is built around not being slowed down. So yeah, that's the way I'm leaning for this fight. In terms of the undercard, I don't really give a shit about any of it except for Wardley Clark. Honestly, I'm a huge Fabio Wardley fan. I'm saying that as someone that I did white collar boxing, so as a result of Wardley making it as a white collar boxer that's then gone on to be British champion, he's a big inspiration of mine, actually, to be honest. But yeah, I've just got this feeling that, you know, when you have a close first fight and then it goes to a rematch, that normally it's the more sort of like higher IQ, technical, skilled fighter that normally figures it out and comes out on top. So I've actually got a feeling that Fraser Clark's gonna maybe even stop him. I think if he does stop him, it'd be like a technical knockout. It won't be a like brutal knockout or anything like that. But I've got a strong feeling about Fraser Clark actually doing the job in the rematch here. Like I say, outside that, the flip side to that fight is that in the first fight, I do think Wardley had him going like pretty hard a few times. Clark was very smart the way he kept spitting out the gum shield, but there was one point, I think it was either the 9th or 10th round, Wardley was literally just about to get him out of there, and then he spat the gum shield and then was able to recover. But yeah, I don't know. I think Clark's going to get the job done, to be honest. I'm pulling for Wardley. I'm pulling for Beterbiev in the main event as well. So yeah, let me know what you guys think anyway. Yeah, can't wait for this one. This is It's a shame that they haven't given it like a slightly better undercard, I think, to be honest. But Wardley Clark and Bivol Beterbiev on the same night, can't really complain, to be honest. Yeah, probably a bit spoiled now by Turkey, but yeah. Let me know what you guys think, and yeah, I'll see you on the other side. Hopefully, I'm not just waffling it.